The central bank relinquishes emergency control over Colonial Life Insurance Company Limited, better known as Clico. The announcement was made via a media invitation posted on the central bank's Facebook page last evening. The bank has been in control of Clico since 2009. According to the invite, Central Bank Governor Dr. Alvin Hilaire and Executive Chairman of Clico, Mrs. Claire Gomez Miller, are set to say more on the development come December 6th. That's next week, Tuesday. The presser is to be carried live at 10 a.m. Clico, the largest conglomerate in Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean, collapsed on January 30th, 2009. It is the worst financial shock experienced by the region to date.
On December 1st, which would have been yesterday officially, the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago relinquished emergency control over Colonial Life Insurance Company Limited. Let me repeat that. As of yesterday, the central bank relinquished emergency control over Colonial Life Insurance Company Trinidad Limited, Clico. The central bank has been in control of Clico since 2009.
We know that.
Right?
So that means they give back Clico to Clico then?
So the central bank governor, Dr. Alvin Hilaire, and the executive chairman of Clico are Mrs. Claire Gomez Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, Tuesday, they will discuss the exit and its implications.
Wow. That's big news.
That's
really.
basically what we have for now. So just note, from as of yesterday, the central bank
Gave back Clico to Clico.
That's basically
That's what I understand it to be.
Gave back Clico to Clico. So it's handed over. It happened yesterday. Handed over to Mrs. Gomez Miller, who is the executive chairman of Clico.
Right. Well, executive means he's running the stuff. So that means, remember Clico came under state control.
Yes.
Because they were owing 21 billion. And remember,
Yes.
we weren't sure if it was 19 billion, 18 billion, 21 billion.
But
Remember those?
Billions of dollars.
It was billions, right?
Yeah.
So my basic understanding is that Clico has paid up and they are now...
Well, one can assume that.
Well, that's my understanding.
Until we have confirmation from both Mrs. Gomez Miller and Dr. Hilaire. But we do have on the line somebody who is very familiar with the whole Clico situation for a number of years, shareholder group advocate.
Greed is good,
so
Daly. Now, greed is good. I remember the days, man, when we were told greed is good. Remember those days?
Yeah. Who said that?
Somebody in Wall Street, and we adopted it here.
Yeah. All right. Now we do have Mr. Peter Permel on the line. When we talk Clico and we talk our history, a recent history of Clico and policyholders' rights and advocacy, we think about Peter Permel. So we have him on the line with us this morning. Good morning to you, Mr. Permel.
Morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you, Dale. Good morning to you, Tony, and good morning to all your listeners.
Are you familiar with that, the information that I...
That development?
Yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, I got the information late last evening. I don't know if it was deliberate that the central bank didn't want to get it to you guys because it would be after your news cycle, the close of your news cycle. But nonetheless, I was really shocked when I got the news. In fact, let me give you my initial reaction. I know you guys like to hear what my initial reaction would have been. And I'd like to say in the words of the late, great Dr. Martin Luther King, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, Clico is free at last.
So is our assumption or are our assumptions correct, you think?
Clico is back with Clico.
Absolutely. In fact, let me just issue our statement because, as you know, I'm head of the Clico Policyholders Group, who, as you rightfully said, have been advocating on behalf of policyholders to ensure that they get all the money that was due to them. And I would just like to say this on behalf of the group, that we are a bit disappointed that the central bank has not only taken this long, some 13 years to exit Clico, but more importantly, they have done so without ensuring that the over 15,000 dissenting policyholders were paid the residual balance of money contractually owed to them by Clico. And this is particularly so in circumstances where the government has been repaid all money. I want to repeat, all money that were advanced to Clico as a result of the bailout. And in light of the fact that Clico is now in the black, Tony, I think you made mention of that. Clico is now in the black to the tune of billions of dollars and extremely profitable. However, I hasten to add that we are not daunted, and as such, we propose to request an early meeting with the management of Clico, that is the executive director, Ms. Claire Gomez, as you mentioned, to address the situation with a view to arriving at an amicable resolution. In other words, guys, without recourse to the courts.
So let's just understand what you're saying. The government has gotten back its money,
Yes.
but you, on behalf of similar persons, you're all still waiting on money.
Correct, that is correct.
Was it your hope that this would have been settled before this handing over occurred?
Yes, absolutely. Because as you would recall, Dale and Tony, the reason why the central bank intervened into Clico in the first place, there were several reasons, but one of the main reasons was to make the policyholders whole again, meaning that for them to be able to recoup all the monies that were owed to them. And what transpired over the period is that they split the policyholders into two groups. One they call the assenting policyholders, and one they call the non-assenting policyholders. What that means is that the ones that accepted the government offer, as you know, there was an offer that was made fairly early in the game by the People's Partnership Administration, where they were going to pay the policyholders zero coupon bonds over a 20-year period. And then we were able to get them to amend that to convert the 11 to 20-year bonds into CIF, Clico Investment Fund units, which you all are going to be hearing a lot more about very soon, because that fund is coming to an end or being terminated on the 2nd of January 2023. Having said that, what they did is, as I said, they split the policyholders into two groups. And what they did is that they paid the non-assenting policyholders, those who did not accept the offer, all their contractual liabilities, every single cent that was owed to them. And they told the assenting policyholders that we're not going to pay you all any more money because you accepted the government's offer. So they effectively discriminated against one group as opposed to the other group, which is wrong in law to begin with. Having said that, it meant that we have been fighting over those years to get back the residual balance that is owed to us. One of the reasons why they couldn't pay us at the time was because the Clico was in the red, as you know. Clico had a huge deficit. And the other fact is that the government had injected this large sums of billions of dollars into Clico as a result of the bailout. So what has happened now is that, and that's the reason why the central bank can now exit Clico, is because the government has gotten back all its money, all the billions. I think that's a moving target, but the last time I checked, it was somewhere around maybe $23 to $25 billion. So they would have gotten back all of that money over the period. And in addition to that, the circumstances that gave rise to their intervention, the instability of the financial system, because that's another issue they were concerned about, whether or not the collapse of Clico would affect the overall financial system. Of course, a collapse of the financial system, those conditions no longer exist. Clico no longer poses a threat to the financial system. And therefore, Clico is now profitable. So Clico is now making billions of dollars, and therefore it's in the black. So there's no good reason why the central bank should not have ensured that the policyholders who accepted the offer, albeit they did not get back all their money, got back the balance of the money that was due to them. There's no good reason. And hopefully on that press conference that you mentioned, Dale, which is coming up on the 6th, of this month, the central bank will explain to the policyholders and the public why they have not paid or ensured that they got paid the balance of their money.
May I ask, Mr. Permel, at this point, were there any invitations for you all to sit to discuss a possible resolution?
No, we haven't got any invitation, but we will certainly be requesting a meeting, as I indicated, with the executive chairman and her management team with a view to coming to an amicable resolution of the issue. My understanding is from sources within Clico is that they are of the view that we should be paid our money, but for reasons best known to them, they have not done so, and therefore hopefully we can have those issues resolved. And in the event that we can't, then we always have legal recourse. Now, I should also mention one of the reasons why that legal recourse was not available to us before is because there was an amendment to the Central Bank Act passed in 2011, 15th of September 2011, which made Clico untouchable, as it were. In other words, no one, whether policyholder, depositor, creditor, could have sued Clico because of the fact that it was placed under the jurisdiction of the Central Bank by virtue of Section 44D of the Central Bank Act. So up until now, or should I say up until the 1st of December, which was yesterday, when they exited, according to that gazetted report that you read, is that no one could have sued Clico. But now the floodgates are open as it is. So anybody who has a beef with Clico can, in fact, take legal action against them.
And what does this mean, if anything at all, to the situation the Antigua Prime Minister's concerns that he had expressed and Prime Minister Rowley's response? Is there any connection, and how does that play out?
Well, I think in the case of the Honorable Prime Minister of Antigua, what he was saying is that the government made a commitment to pay, I think it's $100 million US to them. And they only paid, I think it's 60 million or something like that. And he was going to sue them, in effect, for breach of I suppose you could call it an oral. Well, I don't know if it's oral. I think it would have been in writing. So it's more than just an oral commitment. It would have been in writing. So sort of breach of contract, so to speak. They committed to do something and then they reneged on it, so to speak. But that doesn't necessarily, the recourse is not necessarily to Clico. The recourse would be to the government. And they would have recourse, I suppose, to Clico, if in that sense. But I think he has a case outside of Clico, whether the jurisdiction, the Section 44D restriction was lifted or not. So he would always have recourse. You know what I mean? But I suppose it helps his case now that Clico is no longer under the jurisdiction of the central bank. It is profitable. It's in the black, and all the rest of it. You know, so it will help his case. But I do think whether this was lifted or not, he would still have a case.
So I anticipate you will be in attendance at the press conference, Mr. Purmel.
Well, I'm not a journalist, as you know, and I don't know if that invitation extends to me. But certainly, I will make efforts to see that I would be accommodated at the press conference, because I have some questions of my own as well.
Well, one would think, and you're right, you're not a journalist, so I don't anticipate that you would be invited to a news conference. But it's going to be, I think it's going to be streamed online, so that might be helpful. But is it that today's Friday, the news conference is Tuesday of next week? Is there any possibility, you think, of communicating with the chairman before Tuesday's news conference?
Yes, there's possibility, and I think that's a good idea, Dale. I'll try to make contact with her to see if possibly we can, if possible, a meeting before Tuesday. But if not, Tony, I think I'll go on record as saying that whether I'm invited or not, I think I will make myself available and present at the venue. And if they deny me entry, well, that's another story. But I will definitely make an attempt to attend that media conference because I think it's of public interest, and it's of interest to over 15,000 policyholders who, as far as they're concerned, have been hard done by, that they haven't got the balance of their money. So I definitely will make that effort, Tony. Thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Purmel, this morning.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Take care, guys.
Peter Purmel there of the Policyholders Group, the Clico Policyholders Group.
So I think our analysis is correct, Dale. Clico is now back in Clico.
In Clico as of yesterday.
Right.
And but Mr.
There's
Mr.
a body of
Purmel's
people still owed money.
15,000 of them still owed money.